A lovely evening and thank you for watching Times News. I'm Elita Soko. First, the headlines. President Lazarus Chakwera has challenged the world to stop taking Africans as second-class citizens. The Fertilizer Association of Malawi says the country remains at the mercy of international market prices. And the Department of Immigration scales down the printing of passports in the country. We have these and more. Do stay with us. And our first news item tonight, President Lazarus Chakwera, who is also chairperson of the Southern African Development Community SADC, has challenged the world to stop taking Africans as second-class citizens. Chakwera made the call when he assumed a chairmanship of the region in Lilongwe. He said the notion that African countries and African people are second-class fuels discrimination on the international stage. Jameson Jauluka reports.
Chakwera says African countries are full members of the global community and have to be accorded equal opportunities and dignity across the world. He said time has come for Africa to at least have one seat in the United Nations Security Council. Chakwera said it is sad that the same notion is at play in the production and distribution of COVID vaccine. He said the inequalities and disparities we are seeing in the distribution and production of the vaccines are symptomatic of an old geopolitical framework that is no longer working, no longer sustainable, and no longer acceptable. He said time has come for Africa to rise against the framework which designates Africans as second class.
I therefore want to make a larger point to the rest of the global community. The inequalities and disparities we are seeing in the distribution and production of COVID-19 vaccines are symptomatic of an old geopolitical framework that is no longer working, no longer sustainable, and no longer acceptable. I'm referring to a framework that regards the world as an animal farm in which some nations are more equal than others. I'm referring to a framework that regards some nationalities as more special than others. I'm referring to a framework that regards some human lives as more worthy of saving than others. Our message to those nations that promote and perpetuate this framework is simple. You are using a tired and failed formula. African countries are full members of the global community, period.
In his speech, Philippe Nyusi, the outgoing chairperson of SADC, who is also president of Mozambique, said he was hopeful that Chakwera would continue building on the gains made under his stewardship. This year's 41st summit of SADC heads of state and government is being conducted under the theme bolstering productive capacities in the face of COVID-19 pandemic for inclusive, sustainable, economic and industrial transformation.
The Council for Non-Governmental Organizations in Malawi, Kongoma, and Malawi Economic Justice Network, MEGIN, have called for the rule of law if countries under the SADC are to develop. MEGIN board chairperson Bishop Martin Dumbuka says SADC heads of state have to embrace the rule of law to make meetings like the SADC summit meaningful. Matthews Kasanda has filed this report read by Blessings Mpinganjira.
Mtumbuka says failure to adhere to the rule of law is a major problem, causing SADC member states to remain poor despite being rich in natural resources, mostly due to corruption. He made the remarks at the SADC People's Summit in Lilongwe that brought together civil society organizations from the region.
We must enhance this, the rule of law. Ourselves, citizens, CSO, you, the media, and also heads of state, particularly heads of state. They are gathered here in Lilongwe. They must realize this. There must be sufficient levels of the rule of law in their country. Otherwise, this is just a good picnic for them.
Southern African Rights Defenders representative Mary Da Silva says most of the countries in the region are facing challenges in democracy and protection of human rights. Presidential advisor on civil society organizations Martha Wataine said President Lazarus Chakwera follows the rule of law.
So it's an opportunity for him to pass on the belief he has in the rule of law to the other heads of state. It's very pathetic when you have governments using their own army, their own police to kill their own citizens.
Kongoma Board Chairperson Kosamu Montali says CSOs will make sure that there is rule of law, justice and advocate for an end to corruption.
Now, despite the sudden jump in the price of the 50-kilogram bag of fertilizer up to 40,000 kwacha, the Fertilizer Association of Malawi says the country remains at the mercy of the international market prices. The association pointed out that the country has no control over the prices because it relies on importations, since there are no raw materials in the country, which are nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Fertilizer Association of Malawi officials, led by its secretary Mbawaka Piri, appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture in Lilongwe. Agriculture Committee of Parliament Chairperson Samir Suleiman expressed worry that the increased prices will burden the farmers, hence the need to regulate the prices. He explains.
We are in the process of establishing the scenario behind the price increase in fertilizers. And this is what we are coming across, that the other sector is landing the same fertilizer at a very much higher price, whereby a government institution could land the same fertilizer at a much cheaper price. So we are in the process of establishing what exactly is happening, and as a committee, at the end of the day, we will come up with a statement that will give a direction of our findings to the authorities so that maybe.
The Department of Immigration and Citizenship Services has scaled down the printing of passports in the country. This, according to the authorities, is because of supply constraints in consumables. Some people that talk to Times on condition of anonymity, however, say the department's supplier is deliberately holding on to the consumables as he is being owed some money. Feston Malegezo reports.
Northern Region spokesperson for the Department of Immigration and Citizenship Services, Blackwell Lungu, acknowledged the problem but said they have scaled down and not halted the whole process. Lungu said the department is only considering emergency cases such as those seeking medical attention.
Currently, we are advising all our clients that we are on a strict rationing, and express passports and certificates, we are not processing them in time because we have got shortages of consumables.
But some of the sources in the department have told Times that this month they have not printed any passport, particularly at the Mzuzu offices, saying those that are coming are simply collecting passports that were printed a while ago, while others are coming for other services. Other reports indicate that the department service provider is deliberately holding on the consumables known as ink ribbons because the government owes him money. National spokesperson for the Department of Immigration and Citizenship Services, Wellington Chiponde, highlights that they have not stopped the issuance of passports but rather have scaled down production due to inadequate consumables in stock. Chiponde then said normal issuance of passports will resume as soon as the supplier delivers passport consumables, a date not yet known. Technobrand Global is the supplier of passport booklets to the Malawi government and uses materials such as ink ribbons, crystograms, among others.
School authorities in Blantyre Rural have bemoaned low pass rates in the primary school leaving certificate examinations. This, they say, is due to a lack of proper preparation in early classes. We have more in this report by Lueli Nimpasa, read by Elvis Hoahoa.
Speaking at a function where the zone that consists 9 government primary schools presented gifts to top 10 outstanding students who performed highly during the zonal mock examinations, Mafaiti said it is the role of all stakeholders, including teachers, parents and guardians, to help improve the grades of the learners.
We were reluctant on learners promotion from one class to the other. We were just looking on standard 8 only in the past. So we have taken another measure whereby we thought of starting testing learners, assessing learners right away from standard 5 seriously by writing examinations, and whereby learners will be writing these examinations under zonal level. Where it means there will be strictly marking and check only the best who have done well to go to the next class in order to have the best pass and the best selection in standard 8.
Chairperson from Public Examination Zone, Loyaga Tewera, asked learners to work extra hard, especially in the remaining time prior to Manam examinations.
As the teachers, we still have time for the remaining time. As you know, the national examinations will be taken this coming September. Parents has a big role to play for their children to do better in schools. They need to monitor their pupils. That is on start time. You know, we are living in a modern time. We have video shows and the other things. So it's the duty of the parents to make sure that their children are always around home and they are doing schoolwork.
Cliff Starch, a 13-year-old outstanding student from the zone, encourages fellow candidates to study hard and prepare fully for the forthcoming Manam examinations.
I learn at Mpajika Primary School. I am 13 years old. I am happy with the gift. I celebrate myself.
The gifts presented serves as motivation to pupils to work hard as they prepare to sit for their PSLC examinations.
This is Times News. We'll be back with more shortly.
I choose to be smart. I choose to live a simple and easy life. I choose not to line up to pay my bills. This is why I go digital. Jump the queue. Pay your Lilong Water Board bills through mobile banking. Or you can pay through mobile money, as I always do. You can also check your water bill and balance by simply dialing *253#. With digital payments, you can save time and money. Be smart. Pay your bills on time.
Lilongwe Water Board. Lilongwe Water Board. Portable water all the time for all.
Mona malawa nzanga. Nkhondo yogonjetsa COVID-19 ndiya wina aliyense. Tili limodzi. Ine ndinasankha kulandira katemera wa COVID-19 atangoyamba kuperekedwa. Chifukwa monga na mwino, moyo wanga, umoyo wa odwala amene ndimawasamalira, abale anga, ndi dera langa, ndi zinthu zomwe ndimazika pa mtima panga kwambiri. Katemera wa COVID-19 anditeteza ine ndi ena omwe analandira katemerayo ku chiopsezo choti tingadwale mwakayakaya, kugonekedwa mchipatala, kapena kutaya moyo wathu chifukwa cha COVID-19. Kulandira katemerayo kutithandiza kuthana ndi mliri wa COVID-19 limodzi.
Ziwani zambiri za katemerayo ndi kupanga chisankho cha nzeru. Sankhani katemera, tetezani tsogolo.
Everyone knows foods with protein are good for us. A wonderful meal for the family. A little bit of onions, a little tomato. Mix it up and it's ready to eat. Top soy for a healthy life. All you need is top soy with the top taste. Brighten your day with top soy, top soy, top soy.
Top Soy Soya Pieces is a world-class Malawian top relish made with top quality, top taste and top value, and is perfect when served with rice, sima, spaghetti and so much more. Buy yours today in all wholesalers and retail shops across the country.
Top soy, truly a top relish.
Welcome back. Mzuzu Police Station has admitted that it has not performed well in the first half of 2021, as the city has registered 883 criminal cases, up from 660 last year in the same period, representing a 26% jump. Mzuzu Police in charge Fred Jande has told Times that the increase is because of government COVID-19 restrictions that have led to poor performance of businesses. From Mzuzu, Sam Kalimira reports.
Jande said sexual abuse offences have increased by 42% because many perpetrators had more time to spend with victims, resulting into committing cases such as defilement. He said theft of goods like maize, goats and chicken symbolizes that people were helpless because many businesses were closed, retrenchments among others.
We are doing enough as a police station and the community, but as you know that during a bigger part of this year, the nation has experienced a COVID-19 pandemic. So this has led to a number of businesses not performing up to the required levels, and economic activities has reduced. This has led to more people engaging in criminal activities in order to sustain themselves. So we also have seen that there's been an increase in terms of sexual offences, whereby perpetrators have had more time to spend with their victims, resulting in the commission of defilement cases, which have increased compared to last year.
However, Jande said police have increased visibility in crime-prone areas to combat crime and improve on foot patrol, especially during the night hours. Station Executive Committee Vice Chairperson Angela White said the increase in criminal cases is also because their committee took a long time for an interface with the police to strategize on best ways of reinforcing security in the city.
Okay, as SEC, we are trying our best through the community to link up with the police so that we try to combat this. It's just that this period has been a bit difficult because of the COVID issues. So maybe for us to meet, it's a bit of a problem. But we do try our part as a community to link up with the police and report whatever we see as on community level, whereby we can report and work together with the police to see how we can go about it.
The city has also registered an increase in accidents from 80 last year to 347. However, the police have registered a decrease in murder cases from 18 last year to 14 this year.
Now, the ex-soldiers charity organization EXCO, a grouping of retired soldiers, says the welfare of retired soldiers is deplorable, a development which has left many of them languishing in poverty. Among others, the grouping has decried little pension and less recognition for the retired soldiers, despite them serving the country diligently. Patience Lunda with the details.
The grouping made the plea in Mzuzu when they cheered their fellow retired soldier who has been sick for a long time and is currently failing to provide for his day-to-day needs. In an interview, the grouping's representative, Aswell Tembo, said the grouping has decided to mobilize resources to help sick retired soldiers in the country.
We ex-soldiers, we are meeting so many problems. One of the main problems is our pensions are too low. So we are suffering a lot due to this problem. So we have been asking the government to adjust our pensions, which is not happening. So we are very concerned. So we are still pushing so that the government should listen us and do something so that the lives of the soldiers should improve.
The grouping also observed that other military honors are not accorded to retired soldiers, such as funeral parade, despite them being provided for in the laws of Malawi. But speaking after the group donated 100,000 kwacha to retired Warrant Officer Class 2 Anderson Nyangulu, his spouse, Catherine Mchizi, said the money will assist them as they have been failing to take him to the hospital despite his condition due to the lack of monetary support. The help is timely because we have been failing to take him to the hospital since there was no money, and we are also failing to feed him properly although he is sick. Mchizi added that water and electricity were disconnected from the house because they could not manage to sort out bills. But Malawi Defense Force spokesperson Major Emmanuel Mlelemba said on the funeral parade it is difficult to establish if it is true because those who once served in the MDF are aware that military honors are accorded depending on the rank at retirement for those with honorable discharge. On pension, Mlelemba said the Office of the Accountant General is responsible, further indicating that MDF hospitals provide medical care to all retirees for free. The grouping made a similar donation in Zomba, where they cheered a retired soldier with money and a bicycle.
UNICAF University has hailed online learning as the right method to teach learners amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The first Chancellor of the university in the country, Professor Kutemba Mwale, has promised to continue offering e-learning. Wezi Gausi reports.
UNICAF has realized that last year it was difficult for the university and the education sector as a whole due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Mwale, however, says they were proud that due to the university's flexible online mode of teaching, they were able to deliver all programs.
Those that have tested it enjoy it. Those that haven't are the ones who want to reach, so they too can enjoy.
Civil Society Education Coalition CSEC Executive Director Benedicto Kondowe says the country needs to adopt e-learning. He, however, says the government needs to invest more in the education sector if this venture was to be successful. A number of Malawian universities were switching to online learning due to COVID-19.
Maranatha Private Academy has announced that they will temporarily be relocating to Luchenza in Cholo district following the closure of its school campus in Blantyre due to rental issues. The campus's landlord, Matindi Private Academy, last Saturday closed the school, claiming non-payment of 36.7 million kwacha rental arrears. Isaac Salima reports.
The government threatened the future of about 450 students who are expected to sit the Malawi School Leaving Certificate of Education examinations and the Junior Certificate of Education examinations from September this year. Speaking during a press briefing in Blantyre, the school's managing director, Ernest Kaonga, said they'll be occupying premises formerly Astepi Private School.
What we've done is to find a place for our kids. On Sunday, they are supposed to report back to school. We found a place in Luchenza. There is an institution there called ASTEP. It used to be called ASTEP, now it will be called Maranatha. Our students will be there on Sunday, and on Monday they're resuming classes. The institution is very big, even big than the institution which we were using. Even the environment is very good, better than the Matindi environment.
On Monday, the High Court of Malawi's Commercial Division denied Maranatha Boys Academy's application for an injunction restraining the landlord from continuing with the decision to close the school. The matter came before High Court Judge Jabaride, who said he could not remove the injunction as the same matter was also being heard in another court.
Our arguments are saying the injunction is illegal. It's illegal because all rentals are paid.
Court summons indicate that Martin Private Academy is claiming a sum of 36.7 million kwacha in outstanding rental arrears and 5% interest on the arrears. Last year, a student at Maranatha Private School was among 2 students who scored 6 points during last year's MSc examinations.
And finally, in international news, about half of Nigerians, especially youth, are willing to leave the country for a better life, according to the July World Bank survey, an increase of nearly 20% since 2014. The report blames poor job opportunities and economic hardships made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic. We have more from the VOA.
In June 2016, Felix Ebenon wanted to start over after separating from his wife. He was told that he could make it to Europe illegally within 2 weeks. He took the offer and paid about $1,000 to local smugglers who took him from northern Nigeria to Niger and then Libya.
it is a suicide journey. It is a one-way journey that you cannot return. The funny thing is that if they leave you in the desert, you will die. Anyway they leave you, because there is no way you can help yourself. You don't know anything about the journey.
Ebenum endured hunger and extreme dehydration for many days in the Sahara Desert. He finally arrived in Libya, where he stayed for 2 years, working as a slave with little or no pay.
I was sold almost 3 times in Libya. Then, when they say they want to push us, they call it pushing, transport you from the Libyan coast to Europe. I was praying God.
That was March 2018, but luckily, an international organization for migration search team rescued him and others in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea en route to Europe. Last month, the World Bank said about 50% of Nigerians surveyed said they are willing to migrate for better economic opportunities abroad, an increase of 20% from a tally 7 years ago. The report also says many of the Nigerian migrants were opting for irregular migration routes. But Emmanuel Gabriel, the founder of Symbols of Hope, a non-profit helping return migrants rebuild their lives, says the situation is worse than what is pictured in the World Bank report.
You should be talking about 90%, particularly when you're talking about young people, because of the push factor. The push factors include insecurity, injustices, poverty rate, which is on the increase on a daily basis.
Nigerian economist Emeka Okengu says living standards must be improved for illegal migration to be addressed.
So I don't think Nigeria is one of the worst places to live. Okay, but I think that the living standards of Nigeria could do much better against its resources. Okay, that agreement will stand.
Last year, the coronavirus pandemic triggered massive job losses and harmed Nigeria's economy, though it's slowly recovering. But officials say unless the poverty rate is improved, many Nigerians may be willing to pursue their dreams abroad at any cost. Timothy Obiezu for VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
That's the news tonight, and now the headlines again. President Lazarus Chakwera has challenged the world to stop taking Africans as second-class citizens. The Fertilizer Association of Malawi says the country remains at the mercy of international market prices, and the Department of Immigration scales down the printing of passports in the country. Remember, you can get more on these and other stories by visiting our website www.times.mw, liking our Facebook page Times 360 Malawi, and following us on Twitter at Times 360 Malawi. Remember to wash your hands regularly, observe social and physical distance, and mask up. Please stay safe. You've been with me, Edita Soko.